It's not easy living on a dying planet, but it is easy to feel overwhelmed when it comes to making changes and taking action to try and save it. Where do you start? Is it even worth it? Can you really make a difference? Welcome to the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast, where we attempt to answer these questions by spilling the tea on living sustainably in a world that's going to shit. I'm Brandee.
And I'm Hannah. And for years we've been navigating the big, messy grey area of caring about our planet. It hasn't always been smooth sailing, but we're not giving up yet. So, brew yourself a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's try and navigate that grey area together. Hello, Give-A-Shitters. This is Hannah.
And this is Brandee. And you are listening to episode number 21 of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
Yay.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah, welcome to the new year. Welcome to 2023.
Feels weird.
That's the first time I said that out loud.
It feels like that has to be an error. Somebody has made a mistake.
Yeah. Where's the time gone? Bring it back.
Oh,
please.
No.
Oh, well, I don't know if I want to go back. Let's be real. The last few years have been interesting. But
they have been interesting, but there's also some, I guess, tiny slivers of silver linings that I do miss about, the streets of Madrid being actually, walkable.
Yeah,
that might be the main thing that I miss.
Yeah, it was really nice, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was quiet.
Because I just find myself, the holiday season, getting especially irritated at all the people. But I think that's a me problem. Or could also be a city population problem. Anyway.
It's a city problem. City problem compounded with the fact that
I think I'm just
for a quieter.
Yeah.
I think you like all the benefits of a city and the amenities, but
yes,
probably with less people.
Yes, I like the access, but I don't want everyone else to have. That sounds bad. No, of course I do, but I just want it to be I just want to be able to walk down the street and not have to stop every 2 seconds because people are. I don't know.
I feel like maybe you need to move slightly more barrio because you are in a really busy.
I'm in the center. Yeah,
you're in the center, but then the center is great.
It is great.
You can walk everywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, this episode, I had the idea. This is coming out the second-ish week of January, almost halfway through January. I had an aspirational idea of just continuing every 2 weeks, but we ended up taking a break because I got COVID and could not be bothered to get ahead with the show and then travels, and so here we are. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about how to decide where best to put our energy, maybe.
Yeah, figuring out
with climate action.
Yeah, determining our own unique climate action, where we should start.
This came out. We've talked about it before. This is something you came across, right, Brandee? The climate action Venn diagram. Yeah, this climate Venn diagram. I forget where I first heard about it, but it's on. Dr. Ayana Elizabeth Johnson created this. Is on her website, ayanaelizabeth.com/climatevenn. We'll link it in the show notes. I can't remember how I first heard about her, but she's a marine biologist, and I think there's a TED Talk too, which I meant to watch before starting, but I will definitely watch it after we stop recording. And it's how specifically you, can help with climate solutions. To find your meaningful and bespoke way to help address the climate crisis, draw your own climate action Venn diagram. Do you want to quickly walk us through what the three... Because, if you are familiar with Venn diagrams from school, you have your two circles. What overlaps in the middle is, depending on what the activity is. Yeah.
But this one has three. So what are the three?
Yeah, so the three are, what are you good at? So what is the work that needs doing and that you're particularly interested in? And what brings you joy and satisfaction?
I just almost knocked over my tea again, so I'm going to move it out of harm's way from my hands and arms. There we go. Yeah, so each of us, or I presume each of us, kind of brain dumped our answers to the questions to come up with our own climate action, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of talk through and see what we came up with and if it's on the right track. I already know I need help with mine because I think I stayed within my comfort zone.
I need help with mine. I don't know. I it's kind of depressing, but I was I feel like this is kind of a good potential more self-reflection. So I was just a bit like, oh, what brings me joy and satisfaction? I don't know.
I know, that's why when I did this,
kind of depressing. But then also things like, what are you good at? It was interesting. I did watch the TED talk, and she kind of was saying like, try and let go of like your, maybe the part of you that's kind of wants to stay like humble, or that you put yourself down, like trying to be honest and be like, well, no, we are all good at things. You know, and also like to see on the Venn diagram, we don't have it written down, but it also has some other prompting questions within those categories. So I think within the what are you good at, it was also talking about like, what resources do you have, like what networks do you know, and things like that. So kind of,
yeah, maybe a better way to put it is like, what can you bring to the table,
right? Yeah,
kind of a thing.
But yeah, it's interesting because why does that phrasing make it easier to answer?
Because I don't know, you hear like, what are you good at? And then it brings up, I don't know, insecurity, self-doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a whole other conversation. Like, how do our like insecurities get in the way of us taking action?
Yeah. Good idea.
And also, how do corporations like take advantage of that?
Oh, they definitely do.
To like, anyway, that's another
so many ideas here. I feel like with these types of kind of reflective activities, I either spend way too long like staring at the blank page because I'm not great at like handwriting. I prefer to type things out, and I either just like, I don't want to even still type something out until like I know that that's how I want it to be. Like I have a hard time like jotting down rough draft and then coming back to it later. Like I want to like get it right in the moment. So with this, I tried to just kind of brain dump and not really tweak or mess with. But then I read what you put in the outline about how she says, how Dr. Johnson says, emphasizing choosing an action, not just communicate about, and to fill in with an open mind. So that you don't just come up with the same things like you're already doing, which is kind of what happened with me.
Yeah, it was interesting. That's what she like really emphasized that in her. I think she was like, oh, I've seen a lot of these, and a lot of them end up with something about communicate about. And she's like, let's move beyond, even though that's important, but what's like an action? And I didn't really come to an action on mine. I was just like, I was like a bit like, oh, but
we'll talk through them. What did I just want to say? Yeah, I feel like it is a bit of a trap to not push yourself and get out of your comfort zone, because then you see, oh, my action is things I'm already doing. Oh, okay, I'm good. Like, check, pat yourself on the back, and then you don't really change anything. So I already have an idea about how like I can make mine better, but let's start with you. All right, what did you come up with?
I think I put them on this. All right, I think, what are you good at? It's just so hot. What can you bring to the table? I
put that last, actually, so I don't know if that.
Okay. I was the one I filled. What did I bring? Actually, no, I filled it in second. The one that was easier. Like, what is the work that needs doing and you're particularly interested in?
Oh, interesting. I started with what brings you joy, because that felt the easiest.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so, okay, maybe I'll start with the easier one. What is the work that needs doing and you're particularly interested in it? And so I'm quite interested in, like, urban environments and sustainability. So, like, solutions in the urban environment. And then to do with, like, it's like a more new one, but sort of like permaculture, farming, how we grow our food in general, like agriculture. And then things to do with like education and like diversity and like amplifying global voices. So those are kind of areas.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be helpful to be like more specific.
I think so.
Potentially.
What's the one you're out of the things that you listed of work that needs doing, what are you most interested in? Is it, I feel like you like to talk about the urban environments a lot.
Yeah, I would say that's like my go-to one.
So
I think if I was like on what I'm already doing, education is probably an easier one to have an impact in, because that's something I'm already involved in. But in terms of what I'm like more interested in, I think like how we make cities more environmentally friendly, and how we like use the positives and negatives of city living to like to promote sustainable solutions. I mean, I'm realizing I'm saying all of this and none of it is like an actual specific thing though.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about
I looked up the sorry.
No, I think we have that as like on our idea list of like talk about more urban planning stuff, because I don't know a lot about it. I know I get annoyed with all the cars, and when you have so many people and cars like in a small space, it's not very easy to get around. And then not to mention there's fewer green spaces and then building efficiency, and you're trying to cram a lot of people and like apartment buildings and stuff.
Right. And that was something that she said as well in the Elizabeth, or is it Anaya Elizabeth?
Dr.
Ayana Elizabeth. Sorry. I just remembered the Elizabeth part. She was saying to like not try and come up with your own solutions because we have so many solutions out there already. And it's like, what can you do? I mean, of course, there always can be more, but actually we just need to start implementing some of the solutions we already have rather than be like continually searching for some sort of like ideal 100% solution. So I did
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I did she linked like an organization that lists a lot of the solutions. So I did have a look at that. But there wasn't one where I was like, oh, that's,
Is that the Project Drawdown one?
Exactly. So
I tried reading that book and it is very, very dry. So I like that there's a website I was messing around with it. You can like sort through all the solutions based on like the different scenarios. Scenario 1 being only a 2 degrees Celsius temperature rise by year 2100. And then scenario 2 column is 1.5, which would be better. So then like if you sort through, I thought this was interesting. If you sort I went with the scenario 2 column and sorted the number here as far as carbon dioxide, like drawing down, pulling the CO2 out of the air, it's in gigatons, which is a shit ton. Sounds like sequestered. And the top like 10, which are like either near 50 all the way up to 140, is basically electricity. What is it? Like wind and solar. Where I jotted this down somewhere. Yeah, so they have to do like renewable energy, food, trees, education, and fridges, refrigerators, which I thought was interesting. So it's like wind and solar energy, plant-rich I like kind of condense these into like those categories. Plant-rich diets reduce food waste and clean cooking, because a lot of people still use wood and coal. Tropical forest restoration, family planning and education, and alternative refrigerants and refrigerant management. Those are like all the top would bring down the most. So there's something to be said about like picking something that is interesting to you and like would be easy for you to implement, but I also like that you can sort and see, okay, what would have the most impact.
Yeah. Is it, I didn't realize that Project Drawdown was a book.
Yes. I don't know what started first, the website or the book, but it starts off like, if I'm remembering correctly, with this like kind of like a utopian world society of like what the world could look like, climate change, like everyone, it basically just paints like a really like nice picture and of what the world could look like. And then it goes in, it gets quite dry with like going more in depth in these and like all of these areas.
Interesting. Yeah. So for people who don't know, which I didn't until researching for this episode, it's like a website which basically lists all of or not all of them, but a lot of different solutions for various problems.
And I like that because who did I hear? I was listening to someone talk recently about people asking for and waiting for all this new technology to like solve our problems. Like we have the solutions, we just don't want to do them. We either don't know about them, but I think that's lessening. I think our knowledge is increasing, but we just don't want to implement them because they would affect our lives too much.
Yeah.
We've gotten quite comfortable. Anyway, so let's see. What specifics can we come up with for what's your urban planning? And let's see, are you linked this Panda website for urban solutions? What?
Yeah. So that was just like they've given the that's the world, what's it called? World WWF. What does that stand for?
I forget.
World, is it world? Well, I'm
reminds
thinking
reminds me of the wrestling league in the US at least. I don't know if it's international.
WWF. What do they? I like know it. What do they stand for? Why is it not obvious on their website as well?
World Wildlife Fund.
That's it. Okay, Worldwide Fund for Nature. Okay. Anyway, they have a page on their website which was for like case studies for different urban environments and how they've been changed, or like different things that are being implemented in different cities. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't like. I haven't looked into a lot the different things they've suggested.
Even like more. What about combining like agriculture and environment? Like we have such a disconnect between like where our food comes from because, well, all the people are in the city and then all the fields are outside the city. We have such a disconnect. Is there like an action, a solution to like kind of bring them together a bit more?
I mean, I'm sure there must be. I think a lot of this is maybe to do with, maybe an action for me would be kind of joining some sort of local group that's working, like working in the community, because a lot of the kind of urban stuff is like big picture, like things you need the like local governments. Well, there's like two strands, right? Like what you can do in your local community. Like I know like near me, there's like a community garden and that kind of thing. So there's like those parts of like how do you make cities more livable within your local communities, and then also like the work to like, you know, get cities to implement like building more bike lanes and committing to like any new buildings that they have to be.
Yeah, so I would
like
say
X, Y, and Z. Yeah,
so as far as like before we get to the end of it, as far as like what work needs doing, more like of a sense of community, it sounds like.
Yeah, maybe.
So okay, let's go through the other questions.
Yeah, so I didn't really know. I was like, that's so vague. I was just like, what are you good at? I was just like, I don't know. I think I'm good at like asking questions.
No, I think so too. I read this and thought that it sounded like you.
Yeah, I think I'm good at like I think I'm good at asking questions that help other people see what they're trying to say, or like help draw things out of other people.
Yeah.
I would say that's something I'm good at. And I think I'm good at bringing together different ideas and different things kind of connect for me. So I think, I mean, that can sometimes come across as very chaotic, but I think not always. I said,
I'm playing devil's advocate too, and like looking at different sides of things.
Yeah. I just put like question, listening, and then I was like kind of like curiosity and like interest. I think I'm genuinely quite like interested in people and things. I like learning. Yeah. And I think that can be positive. I mean, I guess I'm thinking all of these things. It's interesting because all the things I'm talking about are like what's it called? Like I'm thinking about the impact on other people, which is interesting. They're quite like soft skill things. But I think when you're genuinely curious about people, like people feel that, and I think that can have a positive
I think that's really
impact.
Important. Understanding where people are coming from and what they're trying to say if they can't quite get there.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I got to, and then where things I was like, yeah, I don't know, it all feels quite vague. It feels like real, but also I was like, maybe this would be like, I'm like good at writing, or like I'm good at this specific hard skill, but
yeah, I think that's maybe like a societal thing about like it's not like as tangible, like a tangible skill. You like don't feel like it counts, but I don't think that's true. I think that is a very important soft skill. They generally get overlooked. Something noisy is happening in my building. So I think curiosity, asking questions, understanding, seeing things from different perspectives. is very important and seems clear to me.
Okay. Well, that was very affirming. Affirming. Thank you very much, Brandee. Affirmative.
Affirmative. Over and out. Okay, so where does that leave us? Oh, sorry, someone's banging wall or door or something.
And then I had what brings you joy and satisfaction. I was saying, and it's kind of people related. I like bringing people together. I like it when I have space or like I have roles or like in whatever capacity where I can kind of do lots of different things. Because otherwise I get like bored. God, your building is so loud, isn't it?
It's the stairs. The stairs are like right on the other side of this wall.
Oh, of course. Right, that makes sense.
So apologies, listener.
Yeah. It's Brandee's old building.
Oh, another screaming at each other. Okay.
That's fine. And yeah, then my final thing was kind of doing something creative or artistic. That was kind of, I like ummed and ahed because I don't feel like I'm especially creative and I'm not particularly artistic in terms of like creating something.
Well, that's not the question. It's what,
but
what,
like
what
the
brings
question,
you
it
joy.
like makes me happy. So
it doesn't matter.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So those were kind of, and then I did find like one thing that I thought, but I wasn't really sure, like an action. But maybe in light of what we were talking about with solutions, that could like also change. But I found this, I was like really impressed. I kind of from Ayana's Elizabeth's website, there were quite a few links. And then she has this All We Can Save, which I think is her. It was either from one of her projects or from, it's like a project that she also runs called the All We Can Save project. Which is about like nurturing community. And they have this like circles project to kind of like build conversations, and they've got like a whole like, so basically session guides for like 10 sessions that you could like run, like getting together a group of people in your workplace or like with friends or like whoever.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I took a quick look. I think I'd heard of it, but it's a really neat idea.
Yeah. So that was one thing from what I'd written. I was like, oh, that could be a potential solution. But again, that's not, I think it is important, but it's not such like a concrete action, I guess.
I think it is. Like if it's, I want to like run the circles group and with people in my community because like all the common themes I'm hearing from you, like words that come up is, you have creativity, community, people, curiosity, questions. So bringing people together. So an action would be to lead these circles, maybe with friends, family.
Yeah. Like it feels intimidating. I don't feel like
well, it's the whole point is to get out of your comfort zone. Qualified, but like who?
Yeah, who is?
I think you're qualified enough to like foster conversation.
Yeah. So that was one thing. And then maybe the kind of the urban stuff. I think maybe I should, I mean, I've looked before for like community groups and things like that. So maybe I just need to like follow through. I know there's like a local community group that have like a produce kind of like group that like they get together, they do like veg boxes and like and I think they work with like producers around Madrid, so like maybe that would be something.
Yeah, that sounds
brings
cool.
Together different things.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I'll send you the links. But I know there's a couple in Vallecas, like where I live specifically in Madrid. I know there's a couple of, what would they be called? Like social centers that are like community run that have things going on. So maybe that's like what I need to
get involved there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty concrete thing.
All right. Am I well, I'm not, I don't know. I was going to say, this all feels like, oh no.
And this doesn't have to be like our final Venn diagram. We're going to laminate it or like put it on our wall. It's I was just trying to get somewhere to like start with, to like take messy action.
Yeah, I guess it's good actually. I was going to say it feels like out of my comfort zone, like I was saying with the circles, but it all feels like stuff I'm interested in.
And I think that's the point.
And then, which is the point. And I was like almost like feeling
resistance.
Like there's a part of me that wants to be, like to be resisted or to feel guilty because I'm like, oh, these all sound like things that I also think are like fun or exciting or, you know, interesting in some way. But yeah, that's definitely the point. Like, I don't know. Yeah. That's interesting. Like, where is that mindset gone that it's got to be like some kind of burden?
And you won't know if it's like the right action for you until you start doing it.
Right. That's
so
true.
Then you can try it. And if that doesn't work, then kind of revisit the diagram, I guess, and go from there.
Right. Your turn?
Yeah. So we have within our 10-minute Zoom warning. So I'm going to end this.
Okay.
Cue the music while we get it all sorted, and we'll come back and try to tackle mine. And we're back.
You gave me time to read through your responses, so that's good.
Yeah. My responses that I already want to change, but it's okay. It's like I'm really feeling that resistance, that like first draft, like
okay,
like I want to edit it and like I don't know. It's a first draft is a first draft for a reason. You don't start with the final, but like I've just always battled that. Growing up in school, we have to write papers, do an outline, and then do this and that. I was like, no, I want to like write it from beginning to end how I want.
Okay. I'm like I like my drafts. I would always like bullet point like everything before I would start writing, pretty much.
I think my issue is that I have an idea of like what I want the final product, not to be exactly, but like a feeling or something. And I'm trying to like get, if I move on, if I just do like kind of brain dump or whatever and like do it draft wise, I'm afraid I'm going to lose that like vision I had for the intro paragraph or whatever it is.
Well, that's interesting. That's quite like a strong, I mean, you could look at it from like a positive perspective, right? And it's like a strong sense of like conceptualization. Of like having a strong idea and like kind of knowing how you want it to appear. Of course, yeah, as you say, then that can bring problems when you're like, it's not what I want.
I know, it's getting then the thing, let's say if it's writing a paper, getting the words to then like match or fit that like vision or idea or feeling, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I started with, for my climate Venn diagram, what brings you joy, sources of satisfaction and delight. And the very first thing I thought of, because again, this is basically a brain dump / first draft.
Yeah.
Being at home with my cat, snacks, and comfy clothes. Which I've just had a snack, and my cat is right behind me on my bed, and I'm in very comfy clothes. It is my absolute, like, happy place. So I try not to, like, answer these, like, necessarily based around, like, climate stuff. I tried to just answer them. Anyway, the next thing I said was podcast / podcasting. So not just consuming podcasts and working with podcasters, getting their shows out there, but then this podcast, we are podcasters. We are in the act of podcasting at this very moment.
So you're in a very joyful mood, right?
Yes.
Filled with joy and satisfaction.
I'm feeling like content, I think might be the word I would use. And then the next thing I said was thrift stores / charity shops, not just their existence, but like going through them. And finding like new local ones, because the ones where we live aren't that great and few and far between. And then finding and trying new vegan foods and restaurants.
It's a great list.
So like a day of like vegan food shopping and eating and thrifting, and then coming home to hang out with my cat and immediately put on comfy clothes. That's like the perfect day.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
So that's what I came up with that. And then what work needs doing. That's like climate and justice solutions. So I had added on, I already touched on in the first half of like those kind of main kind of heavy hitters for like the project drawdown. But then my first thoughts when I answered this were like access to nourishing food, clean water, and shelter, which is just, I think, was already an issue. And then climate change and has just kind of magnified these issues for various reasons. And then shifting more responsibility to more responsible parties, like big corporations, in terms of emissions, sourcing and disposing of materials, etc., which basically we need to move from a linear economy to more circular economy. So it's not like we source materials, use the item, dispose of it. Like, that's the line. Be more circular. So like corporations, for example, like then have to, before they source it, have a plan for how it's going to get reused after it's been used.
Yeah.
The Story of Stuff does a much better job of explaining that. I'll link it. Anyway, so that's what I ended on for that. And what kind of leapt out at me from those, this project drawdown, that the actions on that website, the wind and solar energy. So, which is great if you live somewhere and have control of like your, whether it's the energy companies you're using, whether you can install solar energy, like that's all great. But the food, I already knew that it was up there, like plant-based diets, reducing food waste. But I think that's maybe where I started to go down like I'm already doing pretty good. Like I'll just keep doing more of these things. And then the what are you good at? Your skills, resources, and networks. I kind of went off of like what people have told me as well. So like I put living my values generally, most of the time, experimenting and making changes in my own life, having like one-on-one conversations as the changes I make kind of spark curiosity, and then creating small ripple effects from there. Then I put podcasting because I think I'm pretty good at it, like behind the scenes, but then also, I think I'm still figuring out this hosting thing and like wearing all the different hats of like getting a podcast out there because it's a lot of parts. I wrote, what did I mean by this? Personable / making connections. I've limited introvert people energy, but when I have the energy, I think I'm pretty good at like networking and making connections and cooking, which it should probably also say eating. I think I'm good at those things. So that's where I landed with the questions. So far, has anything leapt out at you that is either missing or not incorrect? I don't know what's a better word.
No, I don't think anything's incorrect. I would say, I wonder if it'd be worth thinking like behind, like why you're good at or why you enjoy certain things. Like this is my perception. I might be wrong, but for example, I feel like you're a very you're a very creative person, but you're also very logical. You're very good at systems.
That's like an INFJ thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like being in the. It's like how do they phrase it? Like equal parts dreamer and doer. Like you can see the big picture, but then actually like doing something,
which is a great combination and kind of like fairly. Yeah, I mean it's like a really great skill to have. So I like wonder if like looking behind why you're good at certain things like that, like the podcasting, I think that maybe is fulfilling to you because you get to do those two parts.
There's like the vision of like what like I want it to be, and then there's actually like doing it to make it happen.
And maybe that can help like find the action if it's like what is it behind this thing that is enjoyable to me.
Okay, interesting. Let's come back to that. I'll share like what I came up with for the climate action, and then what I might want to change about it, so that I think would be helpful to see how I can make it a bit more out of my comfort zone, but also like appropriate. So I came up with, all right, so my climate action, which items, I kind of just expanded on this, which items / themes are similar across all three questions. And then I tried to like get a bit specific. So I said 1, using this podcast as a platform for education, networking / relationships, and accountability. 2, I said working with podcast clients who share my values so I can support their work and message. And then 3, I said share more plant-based food with people, cooking, but also going out to local vegan restaurants and shops. So then this is where, after I did this, I went back and read what you wrote down. I shared about like what the point of the climate Venn diagram is and how she wants you to, get outside of your comfort zone. Because I looked at these like, oh, so it's just doing more of what I'm already doing.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. Which, not to say that these aren't things that like I won't do, shouldn't do, aren't still good to do, etc.
Right.
I was watching a video recently. I think it was Shell Bizzle on YouTube, who I reference a lot, she was talking about like individual change versus corporation change versus government. And it was like, how'd she put it? Big corporations aren't going to change unless the government passes laws to like make them change. And the government's not going to do that unless the people like that the government represents like demand for that sort of change. So
yeah,
she was talking about the connection between all three. So I don't know. I feel like out of my comfort zone, we talked about this before about like more advocacy and policy change. I think I need to find something there.
Right.
But I don't know what.
Saying like maybe it doesn't have to be out of our comfort zones exactly. It just has to be new.
No, I think a better way.
We discover that will be in our comfort zone.
Yes, well, I think maybe a better way to put it is like at the edge of your comfort zone, or
right?
Because if it's like too far outside, it's like skills. Oh, let's just push it a little bit. Let's not go too far out. Like let's maybe put one foot out, like be at the edge. But something new. Because if you make changes, you incorporate them into your life, and then it just becomes a part of your life. So then, great. So now that is now an opportunity to bring in something new.
Yeah.
So, okay, what if you think should I bring in?
So if you're interested in policy,
I think not necessarily that I'm interested in it.
Okay.
It's that I think it's what needs doing, and then would lead to more impact.
Okay. So
because me as
an individual,
I'm not going to get, what is it, the top 100 corporations are responsible for some majority percentage of like global emissions or something along those lines. I'm not going to change that. And as someone who lives in from the United States, lives in Europe, we contribute the most, but kind of suffer the least for the environmental impact of the way we live. So out of all of the, well, actually no, but in terms of policy, as you're saying, you're interested in it because it's the way you feel that you can make the most impact, or the most impact will be made, and it's what needs
what needs doing.
Yeah.
Is there any, like, obviously policy is kind of like a huge area in terms of like the tasks, I imagine. I don't know a lot about it, but the tasks that need doing which then comes into kind of creating policy that can then be, like the activism around that policy, or that can be implemented. Is there a part of like, are you interested in like the research side, the writing, like fundraising,
interesting,
education, communication? Like, what is there any of those? And there's probably more out there that I haven't thought of. If you broke it down, is there any of that you're like, absolutely not, or a bit of it where you're like, oh, maybe that's interesting?
Well, I know from like past conversations, episodes we've done, I know like, joining Extinction Rebellion and going like, leading a protest, getting arrested, like that's not for me. That's not how I want to drive policy change. So I don't know. I feel like I've tried thinking about this and I get stuck. So I wonder if it would be more beneficial to think of like a specific area, like policy around food, or policy around, I don't know. Like I need to educate myself a bit more, in terms of, I think I feel a bit like lost on like, where to start.
I wonder if like, okay, so you said food, water, shelter, corporations. I mean, I think like from our conversations, that things that come up generally around, we always talk about food. And that's one where you've done a lot of, I feel like you've done a lot of research, and also around like water. I know you've like done a lot of like, that's been something you've been quite engaged in. And then what you've talked about with the like responsibility onto like corporations. Do you think you'd feel happy staying in those areas, or would you like to?
I think it's probably
go
a place
into
to
one of the
start.
other ones that you've mentioned.
I think food, would probably be a good place to start. But then it's okay as an expat, like living abroad. Like I voted in the recent U.S. Election for like Texas governor. person I voted for did not win, unfortunately. And so is it, like, I feel like maybe I've gotten stuck because I'm trying to focus on, like, how can I impact policy in a state or the whole of the United States, but is there a way to do something more locally without having voting privileges? Like, does that make sense?
But, I mean, I think maybe you could look at, like, this is maybe where, like, remote work, not, like, a job stuff, but, like, that helps. Because, for example, I'm thinking of, I know I have a friend who is a lawyer, and she did, like, voluntary work, basically creating reports around legal violations in, like, the Israel-Palestine conflict. So, like, there was, like, she, like, did volunteering for, like, a website that, like, I think, I don't know all the details, but I think it, like, updated, like, kept updates and, like, kind of, I think, translated for, like, the lay person, not, like, necessarily, like, legal. They kept track of that kind of thing. And, of course, I mean, she did that when she was living in Spain. I mean, she's moved away now, but I wonder if there's something, not that specific thing, but maybe there's, like, and I know, like, you know, like the websites, for example, that do, like, consumer ratings, need people, like, who are volunteer to do, like, say, the research part. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that you do research or, like, report writing. That might not be of interest to you.
No, but I like where you're getting out of, like, there are people, groups, organizations already doing this work, so how can I support them?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of, obviously you still have to, like, find those organizations. But what struck me basically doing this thing and doing some of the research was just, like, how much is already out there. There's like, you don't necessarily need to create the thing yourself. You know, I'm like, oh, I want to, like, do a community group. And then I'm like, oh, this whole website that has already all these sessions planned.
Like, why make it harder for ourselves? Because I feel like that might be, like, a bit of a way to, like, make up excuses for, like, not to take action. It's too hard.
Right. So that's what kind of, like, is if there was a part in policy, like, but the area, like, food justice, and then what things could you do that use that your natural skill set, and probably presumably things that you can kind of do from home that are, like, maybe computer based. Do you think you'd be happy to use your, like, professional skills, like the kind of the podcasting side? Would you be happy to use that, like, voluntarily?
Yeah, I would. Because even if they, like, didn't have a podcast, there's, you know, basic website updates. There's editing, like, word editing, not audio editing. Graphics. Stuff like that. Yeah.
So, like, maybe that could be also a space where it's like, might not be what you think, where it's like, oh, it's a policy website or a policy organization, but they still need people who can
or they are, like, maybe some, like, an advocacy group or something,
exactly,
support. That feels more behind the scenes stuff, supporting other organizations. Okay, so I need to find which one's gonna resonate with me.
And I mean, it's, like, narrowed down a little bit.
I just need to find, like, specific one. Like, I need to go and find them and reach out to people.
There's definitely that's the bit which is kind of more work.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
And I mean, I think as well, there's, like, a lot in what you've said, to be fair, about, like, your work as well, like. And that was something that she also said in the TED Talk, like, also think about the networks you have. Like, you might find that the place where you can have the most impact is in your work. And that's not saying, like, you have to go out and get a whole new job. Like, maybe that is, like, one of those, like, positive things about you having your own business is that you can, I mean, it's also more risky because it's all on you, but, like, I know you already have been implementing things you've learned into like making it more sustainable and more accessible and like business.
Yeah, and currently our website, I think it would fail the accessibility checklist audit that I've been working off of from the course I just did. So I'll be slowly making changes.
But something like that, I mean, could obviously that's probably not where you are right now, but could you offer to do that check for for a company, or is that something that you always offer your clients? Like that's within, what you offer.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I like that. Like bridging the gap between work life and personal life, because they're, I don't know, people talk about balance, but it's two sides of the same coin. Like can't have one without the other. Like,
yeah. Does it feel good, or do you feel a bit overwhelmed?
No, it feels good. I just I want to go into like research mode and like find. And almost just kick the computer off of her bed. I just need to like find people, groups to help, because I think that would help. This is good, like kind of to give me like the right direction. But now I need to.
Do you have anything in mind, or any organizations that you like who might have links or
there? I think I would like to. None that are coming to mind. There are some coming to mind, but they don't directly either influence or like advocate for like policy change. So yeah, I don't think I'll have trouble finding them. It's just now I need to like right now I can't say, okay, I'm going to volunteer this number of hours a week doing this, updating website or Canva graphics or whatever for this organization who is influencing policy change. So I think I'll get there. I just need to find it. And I'm sure as soon as I hit like stop recording, I'll think of like 3.
No, that even like you listing it there, that's kind of, it does sound like a good place to start. It's like, okay, kind of what you want, right? It's like potentially to do some like behind the scenes volunteering for an organization that do policy work, preferably around food.
Yeah.
But maybe in one of the other areas that you're interested in.
Yeah, feeling good. I think this is already a bit of a long one. So
yeah,
should probably end it here. So we'll leave all links and resources for you, listener, to do your own climate Venn diagram. And yeah, if you, like us, have struggled a bit coming up with your unique climate action, you know where to find us on Instagram at the Tea on Sustainable Living. Send us a DM, let us know where you're at, what you're struggling with, or leave us a voice note and we can talk about it in future episodes. Yeah, and that's the teaonsustainableliving.com/contact. So yeah, all links will be in the show notes. teaonsustainableliving.com/episode 21. All right, that's all I've got.
Yeah.
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one. With an S.
And you're about to hear it again in the outro.
Woo! Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
Now, go share it with a friend,
a coworker,
a partner,
a family member,
or whoever.
A pet, your cat,
someone on the street. Whoever you think could use a little more support on their sustainability journey. Share it.
You can send them over to our website, theteaonsustainableliving.com. And while you're there, check out the show notes for more info on today's topic.
All right, give a shitters. See you later. Get it? See you later, as in see you later? So funny.
Brandee.